And away we go. It is the BCJ Podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. Going to a Reds game, doing something downtown. Make sure you stop by and see our good friends at the Holy Grail. They will get you taken care of. They have great food, an amazing drink selection, and of course, ice cold Cincy Light on tap. Remember, our friends from the Holy Grail donate 50 cents for every Cincy Light purchased at the Holy Grail back in to the Athletes Impact Fund at the University of Cincinnati. All right, let's get this show on the road. A little discombobulated tonight as Dave is on vacation. Callie is already barking. She didn't bark the entire time until I started talking, and then she decided she wanted to talk too. So, so we'll have to deal with that for a minute. But also, Keegan will be here momentarily. Well, not momentarily, like 15 minutes. He forgot. So
it's the off season for everybody.
It's the off season for everybody. He forgot. So he is on his way back. And Keegan and I will have plenty to talk about from the IPF ribbon cutting yesterday. But while we wait on Keegan, I figured Aaron and I would just go ahead and get this thing started so we didn't make you wait. You already had to wait because it's Thursday instead of Wednesday. But we want you to wait less. So we are going to go ahead and get this show on the road. Aaron, how you been, buddy? How's your day?
Not too bad. I'm just happy that Rachel's off for the next 3 days. So
I hear that. I've had a busy one. Been driving around all day, taking Kelsey to and from work, and I had radio in the middle. So
yeah, we're starting our weekend off tonight. The kids right now are all in the pool with Rachel, and we have a 15-year-old birthday party on Saturday coming up, and then Father's Day and my birthday on Sunday. So it should be a busy weekend.
I hear you. All right. Tweets are out. Everything is up and potentially ready to go. I think we're good. All right. Let's start with the new facility is sick. Amazed that it only costs $134 million. We'll get into that. It looks every bit of more expensive than $134 million. I will give you that, chicken genius. Were you there last night? Did you get a look or just looking from the videos? Because I can tell you this, the videos look great. The facility looks even better than the videos give it credit for. So we'll start, Aaron, with Dayton. We'll start there before we get into the Big 12 schedule bracket or schedule matrix. John Rothstein broke this earlier today. I can confirm. I had been hinting at this a little bit on the board that there was a quad 1, quad 2 level home and home that would be starting this year. This is after 2 years of playing downtown. But Cincinnati and Dayton is now a thing as a home and home series opposite the crosstown shootout, meaning when Cincinnati plays at X, Dayton will be at Cincinnati and then vice versa next year. I hope this is a long-term thing. Now, it's going to be difficult in terms of Dayton and their metrics and what Cincinnati gets from this. Just with the way college sports is going, it's going to be hard to be consistently good every year in the A10. But there's no reason you shouldn't be playing Dayton home and home.
No, the logistics make perfect sense. Where both programs are right now, as far as competitive level, I think it makes sense for both programs because it's You'd hope it doesn't continue to be a coin flip game, as you would think that Cincinnati would pull away, but Dayton holds their own. They have been a very good program for a very long time, and so it continues to be a competitive level game. Again, we'll see if Cincinnati's able to pull away and kind of make it a little less competitive. But like I said, logistically and just with the level of opponent for strength of schedule purposes, it's a good matchup for both teams.
Yeah, I think, there is also there's some ebb and flow to this for Dayton, like I said. But I mean, we have seen Anthony Grant in his time there take some rosters that maybe going into the year weren't expected to do a lot and have them overachieve. And of course, we've also seen last year where, they have that they weren't expected really to be great going into the year after what they had lost the year before. And then they go to Maui and play right with some elite teams. And, the thought was, oh, Dayton's going to be really good. Didn't hold up their end of the bargain in the A10. So they slid a little bit. The roster doesn't look great. I'm not going to, pull the wool over your eyes and say we're looking at a Dayton roster that's going to be a top 30, 40 type team. I think Bart Torvik has them down around 100. I would say that's probably about right for what their roster looks like right now. But still have a chance to get up into, into the top 70 or whatever, be a quad 2 level game for Cincinnati. So what we know so far is Xavier on the road, Louisville downtown at Heritage Bank Center, Heritage Bank Arena, whatever it's called today, tomorrow, I don't know. And now Dayton at home. There is another neutral game coming, as I said, teased on the site today. Look, it's one of the top 40 projected SEC teams, which really narrows it down, Aaron, because there's 13 of them projected in the top 40 next year.
It just means more.
There's 16 teams in the SEC. If you go to Bart Torvik and look at the top 40, there are 13 SEC teams in the top 40. So it's one of those.
If I had to guess, it's probably somebody that there's some kind of connection or history with, but time will tell.
That's usually how that works, but time will tell. So 4, I think they're at 4 right now. I think there'll be at least one more to get them to 5. And then if they can, find a 6th that works with scheduling and all that stuff. But that leads us into the bracket matrix or the schedule matrix. I don't know why I keep saying bracket matrix. The schedule matrix being released. And as predicted, Aaron, it's almost
we're good at this.
Like an educated guess.
It's like we're good at this. Who would have known?
Maybe an educated guess, something along those lines. But the home and homes, West Virginia, Houston, and Central Florida.
I like it. West Virginia, you're trying to rebuild a rivalry between two schools that once held a rivalry, and I think that's nothing but a good thing. Trying to revive that. Again, UCF, they've got some skin in the game now with Chom and Jai being up here. They're none too pleased with that. So I think that should make for at least interesting storylines going into those games. And then Houston, man, you hope that this is the year that we're able to get one on Houston, if not 2. But they're as competitive as anybody can get. And if you're looking for measuring stick games, you've got to be able to win one of these at some point in time.
Yeah, and I mean that gives you right now they're the number 1 team in the country coming into the season. So you get number 1 home and away. Perfect. And then the home games for Cincinnati, Colorado, Iowa State. These are the teams that they'll only play at home. Colorado, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, BYU, Utah, and Baylor.
Baylor Dan.
Complaining with Baylor Dan. We're going to get Baylor Dan back in Fifth Third Arena. That'll be fascinating. That'll be a hot ticket for sure. But you get Iowa State and BYU. Iowa State expected again to be very, very good, top 15 or so type team. BYU with the number 1 recruit in the number 2 recruit in the country now. He moved down a spot at the end of the process, but the number 2 recruit in the country, a loaded roster. BYU is expected to be a top 10 team. So at home, you're going to get Houston, Iowa State, BYU, all projected to be top 10, 15 level teams. And then Baylor, that is kind of right around where Cincinnati's range is in the mid 30s with their rebuilt roster, since they literally don't have a single player back from a season ago, not even like a bench body. So, and then you get 3 games at home. You should win: Colorado, Oklahoma State, and Utah. That's a nice balance, I think, along with UCF, who should be a win, and West Virginia. Who knows with West Virginia?
Who knows?
I have no idea what to think about West Virginia at this point.
They've been rebuilding for, it seems, their entire time in the Big 12.
Yeah, like 40 years. Well, our entire time in the Big 12.
Fair enough.
They've been in a little bit longer. But, and then away, Arizona, Arizona State, Kansas, Texas Tech, TCU, Kansas State. You get Houston, obviously. And then Arizona is expected to be very good again. Kansas, we'll see. I wonder, would you rather play Kansas later in the year, where they seem to have had their issues as the season has gone on the past couple of years under Bill Self? Maybe you want to play them a little bit later.
I think I'd rather play
kind of fallen off.
I'd rather play them early before they get their feet under them, because we don't know what this iteration looks like without Hunter Dickinson, the compiler. He's been an anchor for them for 3 years. So I don't know. I don't know what this Kansas team is going to look like. I don't look Flory Badunga. He's highly skilled, but I don't know that he is.
I don't know that I'd say he's highly skilled. He's highly athletic.
There it is.
Not a lot of skill to him.
I don't think he's going to be I don't know. I don't think he's going to be able to fill the shoes of Hunter Dickinson very well. I haven't seen anything enough from Flory to believe that.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get a lot of Hunter had a lot of those 25 and 15 type games. I don't know that Flory's ready for that, but it'll be interesting to see if it makes for a better team, since they're not just constantly trying to play through Hunter Dickinson.
I agree.
But Texas Tech should also, be very good again. Top 15 type team. You bring back the conference player of the year and JT Toppin. Christian Anderson is back. They've added some nice pieces. That's going to be another good team. But I think ultimately, you should win at Arizona State. I'm not overly impressed with what TCU did with their roster. Kansas State, who knows?
They spend a lot of money.
Hard to predict. Yeah. So you've got it. You've got some really. It's very similar to the home schedule. You've got some really tough games against some of the best teams in the country, and then you've got some games that are winnable on the road. So without seeing the dates and knowing, exactly how this thing shapes up, you're going to have a couple buy dates where, you can get guys rested up, get guys healthy a little bit. You're not as beaten down. And I think an important thing that didn't get talked about a lot last year, those weeks where you got that bye, you can spend 1 or 2 days working on yourself, trying to get back into an offensive rhythm, or get back to to, some of the basics for a couple days without it just constantly being game, day off, game prep, game, prep, game, day off, and just getting into that cycle of where you're never getting to really work on your team, to really work on anything other than getting ready for the next opponent. I think that's one of the things, especially, if you're talking to coaches, they hate it. They hate not being able to get in that rhythm of, at least getting a little bit of practice on yourself in without having to constantly be into game tape and situations and stuff like that.
Well, you're still only going to get 2 of those over the course of the season compared to what it was last year.
It's better than 0.
Sure. I just don't want to oversell it on being this giant,
no,
season-saving
I'm not overselling it that. I'm just saying from a team standpoint, it is nice every couple weeks to be able to have a breather. Yeah. As fans, it's easy to say that stuff doesn't matter. But you're not the one that's not you. Yeah. In general, people are saying, "Oh, well, they're making too much out of playing 20 games in 20 games in 20 dates." No,
20 games in 10 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. What I mean by dates is like a game on the weekend, a game in the week, a game on the weekend, a game on the week, without ever having just a time to you guys take Monday off and just don't worry about anything. Just relax and we'll see you on Tuesday. You don't really get to do that. Even in the day off, during the week, during the season, you don't really get a chance to breathe.
It was good for business. We got to do plenty of shows.
Great for business.
We knew twice a week we were going to have our most watched shows of the month. Twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays, pretty much like clockwork. An occasional Tuesday sprinkled in there instead of a Wednesday, but yeah, for the most part, it was Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, look who it is.
Start calling him Ryan Royer.
Unbelievable. Royer, what's up, buddy? Oh, it's Keegan. It's Keegan. Hey,
that's the second time I've finished a set in the gym and I've just gotten that join me on StreamYard email and had a heart attack.
We talked about this multiple times this week, Keegan.
Did we before the IPF showing?
Are you cosplaying The Rock right now, or is this your death row picture?
I will gladly take all the critiques and the jabs because I deserve them.
Okay. All right. Are you wearing a fanny pack?
No, it can be if you want me to.
I mean,
he has one.
That would be the Rock's cosplay. We were just finishing up the conversation though on scheduling.
Okay. I think the game I'm most intrigued in is the Arizona game and going to Tucson and how you handle that. I think in terms of really interesting atmospheres that they really haven't ever experienced, I think that's probably the main one. And then I think not having to go to Iowa State is probably the biggest win of the entire thing. So I think that's a huge plus. I'm curious what you guys think about Houston being the other home and away, because I know UCF and West Virginia makes sense.
So does Houston.
I know, but it's just in terms of distance, it doesn't really.
UC's played Houston.
Yeah.
Dating back, every year since 2013, and most of the time 2 and 3 times. So you're going to get one of those top teams. It's just the nature of the beast. You're going to get one of them as your home and home. Houston makes the most sense. You know them as well as you know anyone. They have kicked your ass for 5 years now. It's time to beat Houston. So I don't mind the opportunity being presented for the Bearcats. And we've talked about, I don't exactly know what Houston's going to look like. They're going to be relying heavily on 3 freshmen. Heavily.
And you
on
don't have
3
Juwan
freshmen.
Roberts. So let's
so.
see how that goes.
Yeah.
He
They're
hung
still
him
gonna
up
be
after
really
17 years.
Yeah.
They're still going to be really good. That's not me saying they're going to be bad. What I'm saying is, with the youth, they're going to be a little bit more susceptible to some nights where they're not absolutely at their best.
Yeah.
I'm curious if after the NBA draft, if they end up making a run on somebody with having lost Pop Isaacs, because it seems that they may have some money to play with that they didn't necessarily.
I don't know about that. They lost Pop Isaacs because Milos Uzan came back. That happened the same day. That was like 30 minutes apart. Like,
Yeah.
the correlation there wasn't hard to connect that Pop Isaacs was going to go somewhere else. He was if Uzan, and everybody thought Uzan was staying in the draft. So when he decided to change course, I think Pop Isaacs was like, look, there's not enough ball for me to be here and him to be here. But they might, and I wouldn't be surprised if you saw them maybe go grab an international guy. There's not really the NBA draft, like, that's all set, Aaron. Like, the guys that can come back are coming back. No, you can't come back now.
Okay.
The deadline's already passed. So
On that, okay.
The only answer would be if there's a coaching change somewhere unexpected, like the Knicks go to college and hire a guy, which would be wild. I mean, I'm not ruling it out right now. They don't have anybody to coach their team.
Daniel Hurley.
No, I mean, it's there. It's in the Northeast, so maybe that is a call that James Dolan would make. But their roster for the most part is going to be set. I think they're going to be good, but I just think if there's any year to get them, they're going to be young. They're not going to be, everybody is 24 years old and a grown ass man. Central Florida, Keegan. What do you think about the Knights of Gold coming to Fifth Third Arena, or more importantly, when Mamadou Njai and Mustafa Cham walk back into Mickey Mouse Arena down there?
All right. Pulling no punches.
The Donald Duck Center. Is that what I like? That's got a good ring to it, doesn't it, Aaron?
Here's a good question. Here's a good question. If Xavier is on a 10 for you, what is UCF?
Like a 4.
Really?
Yeah. Their fans are just easy to poke at. Like, I don't
they get riled up, and it doesn't take much, especially like there's certain people too, like Fear the Pegasus. Although Fear the Pegasus has been quiet here, it feels like over the course of the last year or so. There hasn't been much to be excited about down in Orlando, truthfully. But I don't know, some of those night managers, they get a little cranky, probably because they're not getting sleep during normal hours.
It might be it. But that's going to be the thing is, it depends on where their season is at, because I don't think they're going to be all that good. If their season's in the tank, are they really going to get a bunch of people there just to like yell at Mustafa Cham?
I'm certainly more interested in Baylor Dan coming back and
oh yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Reception that Fifth Third Arena is going to greet him with. Isn't he supposed to be in the NBA by now? I don't know.
I don't know that it's going to be all that bad, simply because
you're a crazy person.
I don't think anybody wanted him back. Like
what you're giving these fans too much credit, because he was booed while he was here. He is going to be booed incessantly on another team.
Booed Vic, if Clemson came here, do you think they would have booed Vic? Because everybody loved Vic.
They would have. I just think his expectations were so high, and he was so far away from meeting them that it made a lot of people mad. I'm not saying I'm not saying it was right if they did, but I think that they would have.
The difference between Vic and Baylor Dan is that Baylor Dan was full of himself, and even when he was bad, he was still full of himself, making sure he made all the ticky-talks, and Vic was not that.
I think people aren't like the Acosta thing for FC Cincinnati when he came back and got booed.
Lucius.
People wanted him still to be a part of FC Cincinnati. I think everybody with Dan was like, it's time for us to break up.
Get out.
Here's what
I'll say.
It's time for us to
break up. It's time for us to see other people.
I think Dan would invite it a little bit. Like I could see a few boos coming and him going like, let's go do this.
Yeah. I'll give you that. I think you're right on that front.
And I think Vic would do it too, but Dan more.
Seeing other people might have helped out his situation here after all. Who knows? Who knows?
Anywho. Keegan, do you like the mix of really hard games and games that are winnable on both the home and away schedule? Because I think there's a good mix on both.
I think it's a good mix. What are they Iowa State, Baylor, Houston, all at home, and then
BYU.
Oh yeah, I mean that's probably the best team in the conference.
Not
are we?
Houston. I'm taking Houston.
Do you want to do whoever has more conference wins? $1 gentleman's bet right now.
Yeah, I'll take Houston all day, every day on that one.
I'll take BYU.
I can't wait until you owe me $1 and I put $1 less on your check for that month.
And I get paid zero. I get paid $0 that month.
Yeah. Wow. $2.99 instead of $3.99.
I'm trying to find it. I'm blanking.
I mean, I can tell you if you need me to.
No, I got it. Okay. I think that it was favorable who they got at home. I'm not sure what Arizona looks like losing Caleb Love. I think they got a favorable matchup actually, because you look Kansas State, TCU, and then Arizona on the road. Those are three very, very winnable games. Texas Tech, probably not. Kansas, probably not. And then Arizona, probably not. But I would say it'd be very difficult to win at Iowa State, BYU, and Baylor. So to not have 4 of those games or even 5 of those games on the road, I think is a huge benefit.
Kansas fascinates me. Aaron and I were talking about this a little bit because I don't think the fog is as terrifying as it once was.
What do you
Would
mean?
you agree or disagree?
No, I would disagree. Are you saying, is it like the whole aura of the team and the program, or is it the
like it's
itself?
It's still going to be a hard place to play. Like the arena's amazing. I just mean Kansas is not right now like on the perch that they've been on for a long ass time.
Well, that's because they put so much stock into your favorite college basketball player of all time. And now when they move on, maybe it'll be a little different.
That they might need that to get back to where they once were.
No, this is just how you look at Houston. I'll look at Kansas and say 95% of the time they play Cincinnati at Allen Fieldhouse, they're probably going to come out with a win.
Yeah,
I'll put that on the table.
They're going to win at Allen Fieldhouse?
No, 95% of the time Kansas is going to win against Cincinnati at Allen Fieldhouse.
What did Kelsey do now, Aaron?
The tattoo
the tattoo. I've seen it. Yeah,
Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, it's funny. All right, what home games do they win, Keegan?
Well, I'm definitely not doing what I did before last season. So I want to make that very clear.
Getting way out over your skis.
Yeah. I think they beat Colorado, Oklahoma State, Utah, and I think that they beat Baylor just because I think Dan might play a little bit over his skis, like what you just said, and not have a great game. So that'll be my prediction.
6 points, 3 rebounds.
Yeah.
8 turnovers.
I say they lose to Houston, beat UCF, and beat West Virginia. Javon Smallest.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-3 at home, losing all 3 games against higher end teams.
At
Yeah.
some point, you got to start winning those games. Any of them.
I mean, if this team the past 2 years won every game they were supposed to win, they probably in the tournament
both years.
So
I give you that. I've made that argument many, many times.
You've got to at some point beat one of these upper level teams, though. Otherwise, what good is it in the tournament if you can't beat one of the upper level teams?
I think the upper level team they would beat at home would be Houston.
I think it would be BYU.
No,
Depending.
Too good. They're
like I don't know, man.
They added the best high school player since Zion.
He's not the best high school player in his class.
What? How much is Darren Peterson getting paid at Kansas?
Probably a lot, but not as much as Debanza. Although Debanza was number 1 for a long time, and then at the end, Peterson passed him. I think Peterson's more college ready. I think Debanza, when you look at him, like long term, he's going to be an awesome basketball player. I think he's going to have some struggles in year 1. Peterson is a grown ass man already as a freshman.
Okay, so the top 5 high school players since Zion.
That's probably. I mean, he's not the best player since Cooper Flagg. Okay. Forget about him.
Well, that would still be good. Within, yeah.
He'd be top 5-ish, yeah.
And then Rob Wright.
Yeah.
On top of a returning probably preseason first team Big 12 guy and Richie Saunders.
Yeah.
With a good coach.
With Kiba Keita again inside. They did a good job bringing him back. I thought he was really important to who they were. They're going to be really good. I don't know that I buy like the top 10 hype. I think they'll probably more like top 15 to 20.
Yeah, I guess I'm more worried. I want to see what Houston does without Javon Roberts.
That's fair.
So that's why I would say I'm with.
But what did we say last year? I want to see what Houston looks like without Jamal Shed. And they went to the championship game and went 19-1 in the second toughest conference in America.
Yeah, I just think Roberts kind of symbolizes the whole Houston culture and toughness more than Jamal Shed did.
I disagree there. I think Shed was every bit as much as Houston culture as anybody. And Shed had the ball in his hands all game. Like Roberts only averaged 11 points a game. Like he wasn't ever a guy that could just put you on his back and give you a 20 spot.
Yeah.
He had plenty of those games, but that wasn't like anything like Shed did, I guess is a good way to put it. I don't know.
That'll be interesting.
I
think I'm on the BYU hype train. Yeah. I think they got a really good split. Yeah.
And then on the away games, I think we both agree Arizona State should be a win. TCU will be a toss-up. They're one of those weird teams that's really, really tough at home. Like you hope you get TCU at home.
Mm-hmm.
Because playing them there is really difficult. Playing them on the road, not nearly as much. That one could be like, are they 9-9, 10-7, or are they, 8-10 or whatever? That one could be a swing game. That might be one of the more important games of the season, just breaking down the schedule. And Kansas State. Kansas State could be kind of in that same boat as well. They're really tough at home.
It always comes down to TCU.
But winning at Arizona, winning at Kansas, winning at Houston, winning at Texas Tech, those are all going to be a great challenge, to put it mildly.
Yeah, but how huge of a that can be? You can build so much on a win like that, though. If they're able to put one of those teams away, especially if it's early on in the conference schedule, compared to what happened last year for the four guys that are still on roster from last season, and know what that's like to the coaching staff too, to get that monkey off the back and get things rolling early on in the conference play. That'd be massive.
For sure. No question. Are you going to predict they win one of those four games?
Well, we don't know who's going to be game one, right?
Well, no, we don't know the schedule.
We don't know the order. So no, I'm not going to predict anything until I see the schedule.
Smart man, Aaron. Smart man. Wise. Very wise of you. Keegan, what do you got?
Prediction in terms of conference slate, road games?
Yeah, the road games, yeah. Do you think they pull any of those four mega challenges? Those would all, you would think, those would all be quad 1A. Houston, Arizona, Texas Tech, and Kansas.
I'm going to say they go 1-5. And then with the home and aways, they go.
They play 8.
2,
so
yeah,
they play 9.
2-6. They beat
9.
UCF and
that's
9.
That's only 8 games.
2-7. They beat Arizona State and UCF.
That would not be good.
No.
Because if they lose 3 at home, that would be 10. I mean 8 and 10. That would mean you've got them under 500 and squarely on the bubble.
Yeah. They just can't play at West Virginia. And last year, I mean, both years, zero atmosphere that interfered with it.
I think that's part of the problem. I think it's easy to get up when the other team has a raucous crowd that you're going in and trying to shut up, as opposed to when you're in a morgue for a college basketball game. I think it's tough to perform.
Yeah.
Leroy says the away schedule looks brutal. I think Texas Tech is an NCAA championship contender. I love Grant McCasland. I love the way his teams play. They have the best player in the Big 12 back on their roster. Yeah. Houston, Arizona, Texas Tech, Kansas. I say they beat Kansas at Kansas.
I think you got to do as good a chance as you've had. Well, in the Big 12 at this point. Again, no Hunter Dickinson. I think it's going to be just it's a very different team than what it's been.
Yeah. I think Peterson's going to be great, but I think there are going to be nights that he's off. Will Buck Harris be up to the task of shutting down Darren Peterson? That could be the matchup of the season right there. Because that could potentially give you a gigantic win. All right. Anything else on the schedule? Keegan's got them 8 and 10 in the Big 12. I'm gonna go 10 and 8.
Flipping from last year.
I'm gonna go 10 and 8. Aaron, what do you think?
11 and 7.
Aaron's selling, buying big on the Bearcats. He's buying all.
Coach has his ass on the chopping block. Like,
yeah,
this is make or break, and I'm okay with if I'm loud wrong. I don't know that he's going to be back, but I'm not going to be doubting him going into this season, looking at the roster that they've compiled compared to last year and clearing. He did what I wanted him to do. He cleared out most of this roster. You only bring back 4 guys, and you bring back a lot of guys and that are,
and really only 2 of them played.
Yeah. With Data and Jizzle. And your recruiting class has been well thought of at this point in time. I don't know. And you brought in a big man coach, and I think that's probably the thing that no one's talking about enough is you've finally brought back in a big man coach. Drew Adams, I know he ran the rotations and what have you, and we all know
but he
where
didn't
my
work
stance.
with the big men.
No, and we know my stance on the rotations. I didn't love the hockey style rotations. We'll see what it's like this year. Even though Chad's very insistent that they were not hockey style rotations. But
I don't think you know what hockey rotations are, but it's fine.
In any case, I think that having the big man coach is going to make a world of difference that this team has not had. You've brought in grit, you've brought in toughness, you brought in some things, intangibles, if you will, that might be able to get you over a finish line that you were not able to get to in these close games last year. And I think that when you add some of those things into the mix, plus I think that the skill level of this team just on paper looks better than what we saw last year. Hopefully nobody goes into a recession like CMOS and Dan did last year. And
yeah,
we'll see.
I think the good thing is on this year's roster, you're not going to be forced to play anybody out of position. You can choose to play somebody out of position. But last year, because of the way the roster shook out, you were forced to play guys out of position. And I think ultimately that was a big factor in especially CMOS and Dan not having the type of season we expected.
Well, there were plenty of wide open shots by both those guys too, that regardless of where you were playing in the
no argument there.
2, 3, or 4, that you've just still got to knock down those shots.
Yeah. All right. You guys good on the schedule?
I'll set the time stamp.
All right. That timestamp brought to you by Turtles Brew, 6% ABV, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free. It's a bourbon-infused sweet tea. They have 5 flavors, lemonade tea, strawberry mint, cherry lime, raspberry peach, and orange vanilla. There's more than 50 locations around Greater Cincinnati. There is over 100 in Ohio. For more information and the location nearest you, go to turtlesbrew.com. All right, Keegs, let's talk about last night. I gave some thoughts on the nightcap last night on my overall impression. I held quite a bit back because I wanted to have this conversation with you since we were both there. For me, the football field itself is awesome.
Yeah.
The architecture, the design, but ultimately it's a practice football field. The inner workings of that building blew me away. And we got lucky. We had the incomparable friend of the program, Aaron Hemler, to give us a tour through most of the facility. Just the training facility, all of the toys and tools that Aaron's got to work with to keep these guys at the top of their game, the weight room, the team room, the players' lounge, the cafeteria, just no stone unturned with making that facility incredible. And it's supposed to be about it's an indoor practice field. That's what everybody has talked about, right? It would have been easy to short sell the performance center, but I thought they knocked the performance center out of the park. I was blown away.
Yeah. It was funny because I walked down the sidewalk which the sidewalk's been closed for 2 years, like
Yeah.
in between the baseball field and the IPF. And I'm in like work mode because I was there all day. I went to the camp and then I like chilled in my car for a little bit. And I'm in work mode. I'm like, all right, I got to go in here and, press conferences and I got to write a story. And then I walk in the doors and then it's just like all right there, like the entire field. And I sat back for a second. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I was like, this thing, you don't even understand how big it is until you actually step in the doors and you're actually on the field. And then you get to see the glass of the weight room and the atrium up there. It was so cool. What do you think your favorite part of the training and recovery room was?
Boy, that's tough. The one that I'm still trying, I'm not going to lie, the one I'm still trying to figure out was the zero gravity treadmill.
Oh, yeah.
It had like the hoop on it. And he's like, you put like a hula hoop thing on you and it zips up around you. And then you do this and you do that. And then it's zero gravity from like your waist down on a treadmill. Not the one that's in the water, because that one was cool as shit too.
Yeah.
But they had a treadmill and had it rigged up to somehow be zero gravity, like out of the water. I was like, I don't understand. I need more information about that. The rest of the stuff, you didn't need a ton of information, but the cryo chamber was awesome.
Yeah.
The float tank.
Yes, I still don't know how that works.
Salt.
I don't know how that works.
What do you mean?
You just lay down in the thing?
And the Epsom salt heals your body, Keegan.
Oh, okay. The underwater treadmill was like a scene out of Batman. Like how it just came up from the ground.
Yeah, it looks like what they use for like horses that are recovering from an injury. Like that's how big it is. He was like, you could fit 2 people in there. I was like, you could fit the quarterback room on that treadmill.
Yeah.
Like you could have lanes like a highway on that thing.
Yeah. The other funny thing is as we were walking through there, like you see Billy Hatcher down the hallway, and I'm like, how many World Series would they have won if they had something like this when he was playing? He's just
Billy
going
Hatcher's
through
just walking around like, this is cool. It's so cool. Yeah, we were on the same once they got done with the ribbon cutting, they basically just turned everybody loose. Yeah. And it was like almost find the person closest to you that knows what they're talking about and have them take you through the facility. So we saw Aaron and I was like, I want him to take me through the facility because Aaron's going to have a hand in so much of it. Maybe as much as outside of Nico and Coach Sat, Aaron might have had like the third biggest say in like a lot of that stuff. So I also thought it was cool. I didn't get the name of the guy that did it, but the Aaron's office, somebody donated to name Aaron's office after Bob Mangine's grandson. If you don't know, Bob Mangine's grandson, coming out of COVID, had a medical incident like during soccer practice. If you've seen, Bob has been very big, maybe the national like leader in getting IEDs in schools. And it's because his grandson passed away because they didn't have the IED in the right place. It was across campus and they couldn't get it in time to where his grandson was. So to see the office have Matthew Mangine's name on it, I thought was an awesome touch. I'll find out who did that if they want their name out there. But somebody don't like they all have. We joke about with the Bearcat Journal maintenance closet,
supply closet.
Every room had a donation level on it, and somebody that knew Bob and is from Cincinnati donated to have Bob's grandson's name on the training office there, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, every office has a name except for the telecommunications room. So if you're in the business of winning sponsorships, the telecom room still needs a namesake. So go ahead and shell out that money. But yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
You're a weight room junkie. That's where you were at. You forgot about this podcast because you're getting ready. Are you cutting now? Are you officially cutting? What stage are we in?
I've lost 22 pounds since like February. So yeah.
Keegan gets married in
8 days.
8 days. 8 days.
Yes.
And then should we tell him, Keegan? I haven't told him yet. The viewers.
What?
That you are going on your honeymoon and I am going on vacation at the exact same time.
Yeah. So
I haven't told him.
So am I.
It was Harry. So the three of us are going to be gone. I will have some availability. So Keegan will not. He will be in Hawaii. And I really like your fiance. She's way too good for you.
Very much so.
At least he didn't schedule it during football season.
That was non-negotiable. #, no fall weddings.
Brent would never.
But yeah, the 21st through like the 27th, then through the weekend, 29, the 21st through the 30th, Keegan will have some stories that'll be loaded up and ready to go. Yeah. So there will be some content. I'm just going to be hanging out in Daytona. Like we don't have a lot going on. So I will still have some free time to be around. But for the first time, I think ever, like Bearcat Journal is going to like crawl for about a week. Sorry. We love you guys. But it just kind of worked out that we all took vacation at the same time to get ready for July and into the season. But to make up for it, Keegan.
Oh, gosh.
You're going to the Big 12 Media Days.
Yeah.
And then you're going to the Adidas finals in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Not finals. They go to California soon after.
The Adidas stop in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and then the Peach Jam all at the beginning of July. So it will slow down for a couple days, and then it's going to speed up real fast. And by the time Keegan's done with that, it's going to be straight into camp coverage and Higher Ground. I'm curious, Keegan, what do you think happens to Higher Ground?
I think the people we love aren't there anymore, right?
Yeah, Chuck and his wife left. Chuck and Brenda left. Yes.
I think it's phased out within 3 years.
I don't. I think it is going to be a shorter experience, as in like a week to 10 days. If I had to guess, I think that's what they phased to. There's not a reason with this facility. There's not a reason to go out there for 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
There's just not. Like, in terms of training, like if somebody gets dinged up or hurt out there, they're going to have to load them in a car and drive them all the way back to their indoor practice facility to take care of things.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see it reduced. I think you'll see 6 days, 7 days, something like that, where they go out there on a Sunday, they work through the whole week, and then they come back and have a scrimmage at Nippert on Saturday. Like they've done that almost every year. That for the end of that first week, they have a scrimmage at Nippert, and then I think they stay eventually.
My only concern is if you open up a window for a school like, I don't know, Notre Dame or somebody else to try and get in there, maybe that's the beginning of the end, and then they take over because you're not giving them, and they're willing to take it for the 3 weeks.
I don't think it matters anymore, Aaron.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think with that facility, I think it matters considerably less.
I don't know. It's just you wonder how much team connecting, especially in the transfer portal era, you're missing out on if you don't make that trip.
Maybe.
But now you do that team connecting in the game room and lounge area of the IPF.
It's not.
Yeah.
You still go back to
Right. They get to sleep in their own bed like that. That's the one thing people don't. They talk about how good the food is. The sleeping in bed and housing situation is bad. Like those are not comfortable rooms and/or beds that you're making 6'6", 320-pound men sleep on.
Clifton tough.
You go sleep on one of those beds and see how many days until you're like, I'm going back to my bed.
I don't have to. I'm 40. I'm a man.
I'm not on the team. I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like you either do it for 3 weeks or you don't do it at all. Like I feel like the team bonding really hits in that week and a half, 2 week mark, and then you kind of finish out that final week. But if you're just going to go there for a week, it's just going to be something that you get through. Like
I think
it's just.
I think if you asked a lot of people, it's always been something you get through.
I know, but I feel like when you're there for 3 weeks, you can kind of say, "All right, we're here. Let's grind through this, and this is higher ground. This is the experience." But if it's just a week, it's just going to be okay. I can't wait for this to be over. Which some people will think that either way, but
yeah, it's going to be good for it'll be bad for your car mileage. It'll be good for mine.
Yeah, it sucks.
You're pretty close. Yeah,
but
minutes. That's just the read I get. I mean, they built that thing to use it. They didn't build that thing so that during the most critical time leading up to the season, they're practicing somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you too much outside of on-field work. Yeah. So does the IPF, Wolfie. Like I probably would have been on Wolfie's side until I walked into that thing.
Yeah.
I was blown away by how comprehensive it is to get back onto that topic. Like that's the thing that just shocked me, Keegan, is how it felt like every stone was turned. That everything you could possibly want included in that thing. I didn't walk out of there going, you know what I think they probably should have done? You know what I think I would have done? You know what I like? Everything was in there. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And I think you asked Aaron, like, how does this match up?
Yeah.
And what did he tell you?
He said, I've talked to a lot of people outside of Cincinnati, like in my business, and they basically said nowhere in the country has everything that they have there.
Right.
And it's all brand new. So it's basically the best training room in the country.
And I believe it.
Yeah.
Like seeing it. Well, first, seeing what they had on the second floor down there by the team room.
Mm-hmm.
You've walked through there, right?
I think so, yeah.
Seeing what that room looked like and then walking through that room that we walked through yesterday. Forget it. Forget it. It was incredible.
Is that true? Did you get confirmation on that about the Bengals asking and UC saying no?
About what?
People on Twitter were saying that the Bengals asked to use the IPF for free and UC said no. And then that's why the Bengals made Miami the official college of the Cincinnati Bengals.
No. If that happened, of course it happened. You think the Bengals would let think the Bengals let UC use the practice bubble for free the past 2 years? No. There's operational costs. They're like, you don't just get to come in. No. And if that's why the Bengals went with Miami, good for them. Good for them. Like, no, you can't use it for free. It pays to keep these lights on, for one. And for two, if the whole university, if all the athletics teams are open to use that, you're going to kick somebody out because it's raining and the Bengals need to come in that day? Piss off. I'm so over the Brown Blackburn family.
I don't know if it's true. I just saw it on Twitter.
I don't think it's true. But if it is, and the premise is the Bengals are mad because UC is going to make them pay to use the facility, hell yeah, UC is going to make them pay to use the facility. If you want one, build one.
You could build one more expensive and better.
Right. You're the Bengals. You've got NFL money. This is an interesting topic. I actually, if you watch the one-on-one I did with Satterfield yesterday, we talk about this a little bit. It's not, and they will get a bump, especially early. And Keegan, you can speak on this a little bit more. Talking to recruits, that thing has wowed those kids that have gone through it.
Yeah. I've heard a lot that they haven't seen anything else on any recruiting trips that they've been to. And one of them said that they went to West Virginia and wasn't even close. That was the words that came out of his mouth. So in terms of who UC has been consistently competing with from a recruiting standpoint, Louisville, West Virginia, Kentucky, other Big 12 schools, UCF, this is the new standard that they have to live up to. And no recruit is going to go to one of those schools saying that this school has better facilities than Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And when you can say, hey, you can come here in the morning and then you can hang out here all day and basically do whatever and have food around the clock.
And training and treatment and the weight room and the ability to go run routes. Go do whatever the hell you want. Like if you love football, this place is heaven because it can be 24/7 football. You can go take a nap in a nap pod and then come do some more football in the middle of the night.
Yeah, you don't have to walk up like 4 flights of stairs to get to the locker room and then go into Fifth Third and get your post-practice meal and then walk to the a decent walk to the parking garage.
Well, the 7th floor for your meeting with your position coach, and then back down to the 2nd floor, and then to the 4th floor. Yeah. What it does, though, what it really helps is teams using it against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Guess what? In the winter, you're going to be practicing out in the cold, in the open, like in the snow, in the rain, in the ice. No, not anymore. Like I think that's the biggest thing is you take away that major like piece of the puzzle that teams were using against UC, saying that they're not going to take care of you. Like you're not going to be treated at the level that we can treat you as an athlete. And now UC can say, yeah, we can treat you better. They're right. We can treat you better. Yet they lost an elder linebacker to Virginia. I'm going to say I'm going to say something that a lot of people in this town won't like. I wouldn't recruit the GCL. Unless the kid comes to me and says, I'm going to play at Cincinnati. Like Cincinnati is my dream school. I have wanted to play there my whole life. Unless they say that, I wouldn't recruit that league. I'd focus hard on the GMC and some of the public schools, places that I do think a lot of kids grow up wanting to be Bearcats, grow up thinking highly of the program. I'd give LaSalle maybe a pass. LaSalle's usually been pretty good to UC. St. X, Moeller, and Elder, come to me. If you want me, come to me. If not, I've been doing this a long time. And the attitude at those schools, I've talked about this a bunch. I know Wolfie kind of has said very similar things to what I have heard from inside for a long time. The GCL, they take their top kids and they say, these kids are going to Ohio State, Notre Dame, or the Big Ten. And if they're not good enough for that, then we'll send them to Cincinnati. And now it's even Kentucky and Vanderbilt and Louisville, because now Vince Marrow is down at Louisville. They'll be in Cincinnati. I'd be done with the GCL. I would just, you don't want to send your kids here. You don't want to work with us. We don't have a shot at your top kids. Wish you luck. That's not popular, but I mean, this has been going on for the entire 18 years, 19 years I've been doing this, Keegan.
It's almost like if they don't come to a camp as a sophomore or the summer before their junior year, just don't recruit them.
I'm serious. Like the way that those kids get swayed and those families get swayed to lean towards Big Ten, Notre Dame, SEC, if they get that opportunity. I'm not going to be your fallback. I'm not your safety school. Well, it's not popular, but it's just kind of my take on reading these, like listening to how these things have gone year over year. Whatever.
You had an interesting point one time about like what age kids start to choose their favorite teams. You said it was like 8 or 9.
Between like 9 and 12 is when kids really start to develop like who their real lifelong favorite teams are going to be.
So in like 2 to 3 years, there might be a big crop of kids who grew up
during the days.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, Keegan, that nobody ever wants to talk about when I say that. How far was it in between the Marty, Tony, Benz, all those teams, and then Josh Wiley, Malik Van, that whole crew, Jarrell White. Oh, it was 8, 9 years when those kids, from when they were 9 to when they turned 18, that was almost that entire cycle.
Yeah.
The Butch Jones years, 3 years, the Tuberville years, 4 years, and boom, those kids went from elementary school to graduating high school, and they all wanted to go to UC because they all grew up watching that. It's not coincidence. Convinced it's not. But I'd tell the GCL to take a hike. Personally, I would. It's not overly popular, but we're all over the place. Back to the indoor practice facility.
Yeah.
What else really kind of stood out to you?
I like the kind of patio area by the kitchen. I think they said that's going to be used for some game day events for, VIP guests, some boosters and stuff like that. So I think that'll be something they can really take advantage of, but also just for students and football players to kind of hang out over there and just be able to look across campus. I like that part of it because that's kind of something you don't have to add. Like it's a small thing that they thought to add, and I think it was a really good idea. I think the balcony right next to Sat's office is going to be really cool for recruiting. So when there's like warming up for a practice, and then you can just take a kid out there, which somehow someone already broke a pane of glass on the railing.
Yeah, I don't know what happened on that railing. I didn't ask any questions.
Someone hit a ping pong ball really hard. I thought that was another small thing that was really cool. And then I also like the CPAW kind of sign on the right side of the wall when you enter from the north end zone. Because when you look closer, it's got like a shadow of Nippert in it and like the design of the CPAW. And that thing is also massive. So
the whole thing is massive.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you want to be greedy, Keegan. All I could think of is, oh my God, this is going to be awesome to cover practice.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be awesome to cover practice.
No more 20-degree practices in late February, early March.
No more 115 degrees on the turf practice.
Oh my gosh.
No more like huddling up in the overhang of the Bearcat layer section to get through a practice on a, late October, early November day.
And no more sun straight in your eyes.
Wolfie, let's make something clear. I didn't get hit into the bubble, and that's why I got in trouble. He wanted me to stand. Luke Fickle expected me to stand in front of Bruno LaBelle running at me full speed and block him from going into the bubble. Instead, I got the fuck out of the way. Quick. Just so you know. And then 3 weeks later during COVID, because remember, we had 3 spring practices and then COVID hit and shut everything down. That was the second practice. And then 3 weeks later, I get a text from Fickle with the video from the eye in the sky of me getting out of the way saying, we're going to have to work on your dedication to this program. That really happened, Keegan.
I figured it was going to be like Bruno LaBelle like broke his collarbone doing that.
I mean, he came close. Like he was running. It was a corner route and the ball was just barely overthrown and he was running to get it and he was, and I was like, nah, baby, nah. And I got out of the way. And I think one of the managers did catch him before he crashed into the bubble. But Fickle sent me and highlighted me getting out of running out of the way.
It's like huddle tapes when they put
it was huddle tape. He huddle taped me and was like, hey, you got to stop Bruno there. And I'm like, hey, you're not fucking paying me enough to get in front of a 250-pound, 6'4" tight end running at 19 miles an hour in my direction in full pads. Nah, fam. We ain't doing that.
Oh god.
What part of that training room, the water park, I guess is what we'll nickname it, Keegan. What part of that did you want to most? The steam sauna, the sauna, the float tank,
that sauna,
the hot tub, the cold tubs.
That sauna could probably fit 30 people in it. That sauna was so big. And then you can just go right into a steam room.
As big. The steam room was almost as big. That thing was huge too.
Yeah. It's I am a big sauna guy, so I was most excited about that. But the underwater treadmill, being able, just seeing it come up from the ground, that was impressive.
That was impressive.
I felt like I was in an Iron Man movie.
What was the cryo chamber like?
Not that bad. I thought it was going to be way colder, but I also don't think it was set up to 124. But yeah, I was a big cold plunge guy my senior year at Ross because my hip flexors were absolutely destroyed. So I really like the cold and hot recovery. So that a lot of that stuff was interesting to me. So when Aaron actually said I could go in there, I jumped at the opportunity. And then I was like, I think I could last a minute in here.
What do they put him in there for? Like 3 minutes? Is that what it is?
He said 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you last 3 minutes?
If I locked in before, yeah. I think so.
Like, you'd have to hype yourself up?
Yeah. Just getting that mental frame, getting that Wim Hof breathing frame.
It was cold. Like, you could see the smoke just coming out of it. And then, would you do one of the hyperbaric chamber things?
Hyperbaric chamber?
Where they, close the lid on you?
Oh, yeah. I think so.
You're not a claustrophobic type?
No. I wouldn't be thinking about where I am. I'd be thinking about what it's doing for me and why I'm doing it. So
yeah, you're such a nerd.
I love that stuff, dude.
you're gonna be there like 20 minutes before every practice. Like, hey, Aaron.
Hey, yeah. Aaron. Hey, come on. Hey, I just hit a lift. Come on. Let me get right.
Well, the Fickle story is a funny story. Imagine being me in the middle of COVID, sitting at home. Kelly was sick, so I couldn't go anywhere. Like, legitimately for I think it was 9 or 10 weeks. Like, the only a little bit of grocery store, and other than that, no interaction with the public at all. And I get that text from Fickle. You're going to have to work on your commitment to the program. I believe I sent him back. I'm good. No, I made the right choice. I am not getting in the way of your giant tight end trying to plow me over. Take a nap in the sleeping pod. Yeah. 20 minutes before practice. Where's Keegan? He's got 15 minutes left on his nap. He'll be out here as they're stretching. Aaron, what time do they stretch? All right.
Yeah.
Keegan's in the well, they said the float tank, the design is to put like music in there, and they want you to fall asleep in there. Like they want you to take a nap in the float tank just to get it over with.
Why did I play baseball? Should have played football.
Yeah. Could you imagine being Jim Kelly? Like I talked to Jim today on the radio. I was in for Mo, and he graduated in 1975. And he was like, they had locker rooms under Nippert Stadium, not like how it is now, where they like.
It was actually like a locker, like at the YMCA.
Yeah. And he's like, we had a training room and like, areas for people to tape or whatever, but just walking around in that place, it's like, my goodness, this is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're a meathead. What'd you think of the weight room?
I mean, it's everything you could want as a football player, like all brand new. I think it had monitors like on each station to be able to record your progress.
Yeah.
Everything looks really shiny. And I get there and I have to go to the back left corner for the pressers. And then as I'm looking, like Nico's just sitting there, just looking at everything, just head bobbing like this. He's just like gushing because everyone's coming up to him like, hey, this is the best day of your life, right? And he's like, yeah, this is the best. So I can only imagine how excited he is. Like he probably felt like he just got delivered like a $400,000 Lamborghini for free. The
funny thing is he wasn't settled when I talked to him. He's like, we're not done yet. Like there's still. He didn't want to he didn't even want to let the guys in today and tomorrow to lift because it's not all the way like done how he wanted it to be done.
That doesn't shock me. But yeah, just everything being UC branded, and which I know that's common for college football programs, but it's just something that still is really, really cool. And then the ease of being able to do conditioning days, and you can use the weight room and the turf at the same time in terms of stations. That was something they couldn't do before, because you'd have to change your shoes and like get turf washed off and stuff like that before you'd go back in the weight room. So I really just think they literally couldn't do it. So they would have to separate each thing up. But now it's going to streamline everything, and that will affect performance and results. So
the players' lounge was awesome. Ping pong table, pool table, video game setup, large screen TVs, like anything you could want as a college student in like a hangout.
Yeah,
the boys are going to go hang out.
It makes you think like what wasn't in the budget, like what vetoed. Like there had to be something that got vetoed.
Maybe the
golf simulator that Sorsey was talking
about. I joked around about that. I was like, they put a simulator in here. Those guys would have never left. Like some of them would have just been there 24/7 on the golf simulator.
Yeah.
No, like the circle pool, the floating pool, what the hell?
Lazy river?
The lazy river. Yeah, you could put a lazy river around it.
Maybe they tried to put a fountain somewhere and that got vetoed.
maybe. But in terms of practicality, like they had a barber chair, which I don't think people realize that's important for those guys.
Yeah.
It's 105 guys. I wonder who the barber is, though. Somebody on the team usually becomes the barber.
No, they're gonna invite their own barbers, and it'll just be an in-house thing.
But usually there's somebody on the team that takes a liking to it, and then over time becomes like the dude that lines everybody up.
I couldn't trust one of my friends to do that.
Really?
No way.
And you're a guy that gets lined up more than anybody I know.
Yeah. Every 2
Like
weeks.
every 2 weeks, Keegan comes. Yeah, every 2 weeks, Keegan comes in with the fresh haircut. Kai Stokes seems like he'd be the barber for the team. I could see that, Leroy. I could see that. But I mean, Logan Wilson couldn't be because he'd never get anything done. He'd just be talking. You'd be there for 45 minutes to get like just a simple lineup. Logan was talking the whole time. You got somewhere to be? Like, are you
I was just checking what time it was. Gosh.
You were late. Like,
I know. That's why I'm in mode of being that I started at 8. So I wanted to see what time it was.
Okay. Anything else stand out? Anything else catch your eye?
If the food is like that every day, you're gonna have to take me out in handcuffs.
It was. Did you do
It's
the mac
very
and
good.
cheese? Did you go back
Short
for it?
rib mac and cheese with crispy onions. Yeah.
No, I went short rib mac and cheese with crumbled grippos. Yeah. It was fantastic. How was the you had the charcuterie in a cup?
Yeah, that was pretty good. I didn't know how to eat it because it was like pierced at the top of a
Thing of hummus.
like a toothpick kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
There's
am I
hummus
supposed to take? No, there wasn't.
There was in one of them.
There wasn't in mine. I wouldn't have gotten it. No.
You're not a hummus guy? Chickpeas aren't healthy?
No, can't say chickpea is something that I value putting in my body. So I was like taking the meat off and then just putting it in my mouth. I don't know. I also dropped the tomato on the ground, so I was probably the first person to spill something in that idea.
Children. Unbelievable, Keegan.
I know.
How are you going to be the first person to make a mess at the IPF?
I might have been the first person to use the urinals too. So,
as soon as you got there, you went and took a leak.
I had to pee really bad. I asked Himmler, I was like, is it cool if I go to the bathroom? He goes, yeah, sure. Didn't seem too enthusiastic.
The locker rooms.
Yeah.
Like, we forgot to get to that. There's only like 5 or 6 per row.
Yeah.
Like spacious, designer. Like, I always used to make fun of those when you'd see them on like the videos, but then you see one in person and you're like, oh yeah, I'd be hanging out here quite.
You like sink into the seat too.
Yeah. Seats were super comfortable. Big oversized armrests. They lift up, and that thing was like that deep with storage. They had the cooling system, to put your helmet and your shoulder pads so that they dry off and they're sanitary. It was an awesome space. Especially to see it in comparison. We just saw a new locker room, a year and a half ago? Or a year ago, whenever that was that they opened up.
For basketball?
No, the new football locker room when we went into it.
I never went into it. I think that was before I got here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. It was really nice. Like, if you remember back to it, it was really nice, but it was a lot smaller per athlete. They have these things spaced out, and they cover a giant section of that second floor. They were really nice. Like, those guys you're going to have a hard time getting dudes out of there. Oh, for sure. Nap time in those recliner seats is going to hit different after a 6 a.m. workout. They all reclined all the way back. Although, Keegan, would you take a nap at your locker?
No.
No.
I'm not trusting. Knowing the Ryan Royer story,
guys.
No way. No way. I'm not having no socks in my face. No, not doing that.
Ryan Royer socks or just regular socks?
Ryan Royer socks.
Crypt Keeper wants to know if you go to Vegas every 2 weeks for a haircut, or do you have somebody here and somebody in Vegas?
I've actually been switching around barbers, and I don't like it because I went to the same barber for 2 years at Indiana, and I haven't been able to find a firm one here. But I think I found mine now. I'm pretty convinced.
Okay. I don't know. You got anything else that I missed that you want to talk about that you saw yesterday?
No, just that it's gonna be really nice when the sidewalk on Jefferson is back open and all the greenery around the IPF, and just kind of having that eyesore of the construction on that part, all gone. But then there's still 3 or 4 buildings on that campus that need to be demolished and built back up. So especially that green and pink one, I don't know what that's doing.
You know what UC stands for, right, Keegan?
Under construction.
Under construction.
Yeah.
There's already cranes. Like as you're pulling up, you're like, damn, there's cranes still at the IPF. And then you get there and you're like, no, those are there's 4 other cranes operating in the general vicinity.
There's also 3 apartment buildings being built. So
yeah, that's where the cranes are. That's but all right, well, I don't have anything else. It was awesome. The basketball schedule, or the basketball schedule matrix is out for the Big 12. Dayton has been added to the non-conference schedule. It's going to wrap it up, I think. I think that's good. We will see you next time. Monday. Aaron and I have a couple nightcaps, but Monday for the BBP. That is the BCJ podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail. Live from the Cincy Light Studios, right here on BearcatJournal.com.